I was 4 years old when I moved within a 2-minute walk of the harbor in Manchester by the Sea. I think many of you know that movie. That is the town I grew up in. When I was 7, I got my first rowboat. I got 3 lobster traps. Every day in the summer I was out hauling those lobster traps. When I was 12, I looked at a bigger boat with an outboard engine. My mother said, "I'll buy it for you for Christmas to haul your lobster traps." She said, "But you've got to pay for half of it." I said, "For a Christmas gift?" She said, "Yes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to loan you the money for that half, and you're going to have to pay me back." I said, "Really?" She says, "But I'm going to teach you accounting. I'm going to show you how to start your business, Peter." My mother was an office manager in a nice company, and she knew business, and she knew the value of training me when I was young. When I was 15, I went offshore in a 86-foot boat. How did I get there? When I was hauling my lobster traps every morning, I would get out at 3:45, go out and haul by hand 75 oak lobster traps. Every morning I would haul those traps in my 12-foot Amesbury skiff. I would come into the dock after I put my lobsters away, meet my mother. My mother would pick me up at the dock and take me to Gloucester, the other half of Manchester by the Sea movie, where it was filmed, and I would go to that town and work inside the lobster company that my mother managed the office at. They had large offshore fishing boats, and I saw them, and I was a kid, and I had a dream, and I'm like, "Oh my God, I want to get on that boat." And so one day I asked the president, "Can I go on the boat? Can I go on the boat?" They said, "Ask Bob." Bob was the president of the company. And I said, "Bob, I want to go on the boat." I said, "But I want $1 an hour." He said, "Okay." That day came, and the boat was in New Bedford, Massachusetts, which was a couple hours away, for repairs. I said, "Okay, I'm ready to go. Bags packed, sea bag. I'm all proud kid, ready to get on that boat." He said, "No, you can't go." I said, "What?" And my mother said, "What?" They said, "There's no room in the car. We can only fit 5 people. You can't go." I said, "I'll work for nothing, Bob, if it's the money." He said, "I'm sorry, there's no room." My mother said, "Look, Bob, if you want me in your office manager, I will drive my son down and he will be on that boat." So off I went. I got on the boat. I worked 18 hours a day. That was it. I came back excited. Little did I know, the next summer I would become the cook on that boat. Then I became the first maid on that boat. And I was making $3,000 a week. My alarm, my 3-word alarm. $3,000 a week, high school kid, 16 years old. I was making money, and I was doing that every week. It was amazing. Then I went off on offshore merchant ships. I went to school. I became an engineering officer on merchant ships. I made a lot of money. The next thing I know, I've got the Porsche, and I got time because I had a lot of holiday and I had a lot of money. Next thing I knew, my car and I were flying through the air at 1 o'clock in the morning, hit a tree after 144 feet airborne, bounced off that tree. My car flipped 2.5 times and bam, landed on top of me. Face down on the ground, in the grass, fortunately. I awoke. I looked up. The cops shining lights in my eyes. "Peter, not again." Because they knew I made a lot of money. I worked hard. I played hard. and I played really hard that night. Went to the hospital, I looked down. Once they lift the car, there were 2 bones sticking out of my leg. Off to the hospital, patch it up, I went home. I got antsy. Wanted to go out, have a drink, have some fun that night. I lived on a hill. How was I going to get down there? I applied my engineering skills. I had a wheelchair, I had crutches. I rigged it up with some old lobster buoy line. Went down the hill, went and drank my Kahlua, my favorite drink. Done 10:30, I rigged up my wheelchair and I went proudly back up the hill. I could still walk. Went home. 3 years passed. The same thing, more drink, more partying. One cold morning in January, I remember it was a crisp, clear day, but inside was dark. I picked up the phone. I called my friend Bonnie. I said, Bonnie, you gotta come and pick me up, man. It's time. It's time to go to the hill. Barney knew what the hill meant. It was expensive and it was long. Barney came by, picked me up. We stopped at the liquor store one last time to celebrate the end of what used to be very fun times turned into very dark days. And I proceeded to drink my Kahlua and salute a new life going forward. I got to the hill, opened the doors, went through, and boom, they closed behind me for 30 days. I never looked back. It took me years to come out of that hole, and I never gave up. I followed the instructions. I followed people who had more than I did. I listened to every single thing they told me to do. I looked at it. They were successful. Do this. I never questioned it. I did it. I became successful. I built businesses. Sometimes they didn't work well in the beginning, but I kept at it. And I built several $million businesses around the world. And I continue with my business today. That alcohol, those drugs, held me back viciously. It stole from my life. 20 years, 12 years of nothing but fun and party. I wouldn't give up some of it because the experience was so valuable. But I had 10 years to get out of that hole. 22 years, really. Then I started seeing some light, and I started making it happen. And I built a business. I bought a little, sold a little, bought a little, sold a little. Next thing I know, I've got millions coming in. I didn't go to the school. I learned from the school of common sense and hard knocks. What's holding you back? If you want to move forward and get out of some fears and barricades and blockages, let me help. Peter Stone, rocking in life and enjoying it and getting through and busting through and going over and going around every single challenge I'm given. And I call that a gift. I'd love to share that gift with you.